In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, distinguished attendees, welcome. We are pleased to welcome you to the city of Istanbul and to the Dialogue Forum at this symposium, which I am convening on the topic of classifying Islamic social organizations. We are delighted to welcome you all. Our day includes 3 sessions, each session featuring 4 speeches. The first session will be presented by Dr. Hamza Zobaa. Please proceed. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, peace and blessings be upon you. Welcome. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers of this international symposium, by which I specifically mean the Dialogue Forum for Culture and Media. In truth, the timing of this symposium is extremely important. It is true that it has come late. It should have been held after the first decision issued by the U.S. Department of State. However, it is important that it is taking place now in light of 2 decisions issued by the White House, one from the Department of the Treasury and the other from the Department of State. In substance, or in the overall picture, the comprehensive context must always be present when discussing or studying any decision issued by any authority. One should not take a decision in isolation and keep grinding away at it as though it stands alone. It will do what it will do. There is a broader picture, a larger context, and I believe that this context is built upon a concept, namely the relationship with Islam, clearly and explicitly. I am not the first to describe this relationship, nor am I the one who coined this view. Nearly all Western policies, almost without exception, have made Islam their primary political target. The first arrow for any electoral candidate in Europe or America is directed at Islam.
And you could say, I don't have against the problem is with the Islam itself. I don't have problem, they say, but Muslims incite against us. If you want to run for an important post in the opinion, you can come against those migrants who bring Sharia to change our culture, and they are not able to come to terms with us. He is referring to the Muslim migrants in the European Union. In this framework, in this lodge, when we speak about the Islamophobic view, but it is Ikhwan, Muslim Brotherhood phobic. There is a larger. We thought that they were busy with Islam, but now they are targeting mainstream Islamophobia. Let me be honest, before I start this session, let me narrate this short story. After 2001, I was flying to Germany from a Gulf state. A person sat beside me, a passenger in the business. He was a man, American man. We talked about the grandeur and the greatness of Islam. Then he turned to me. It seems to me, no, Islam is terrorism religion. He started to speak. He said no. He repeated verses from the fighting verses. Then I understood that it was a script circulated, and the story started. And you know how Trump came to power, and those who were the disciplines and the guide and the mentors of him, they came from the Middle East, including one. It was said that it was a Christian Lebanese journalist, agent of Israel, fled to Israel after the war of 2006, and from Israel traveled to the US to give lectures in Islam, not in Christianity, in Islam. How Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was a man living, fighting and earning living, taking female sabaya and marrying young girls. These details came from the Arab homeland, traveling to the White House and to all decision-making houses in Europe. So what we are seeing is the harvest of long years of incitement. In this dialogue, we are going to discuss the designation and the environment conditions of making the decision in the US against the Muslim Brotherhood. Then we are going to see if is it a security issue or a political security issue or political security social issue. Were we on duty? We did not do the job. We are Muslims. We are Muslims. We Muslims, as Muslims, we did not bridge the gap between ourselves and the Western? Did we give them assurances to the European Union, or there were some defiled interpretation of Islam and Islamic organizations in the Europe? In the first part, we have the speakers in the panelists. I am very proud. I have mountains, distinguished great men who have the distinctive academic rank and ideological and organization rank. They need to eliminate any Islamic organization. They want Sufi Muslims to distract people with the dead sheikhs, or people could be like the slaves of the rulers, and they give the heart either to the ruler or to the dead sheikh to do according to what they want. The first paper will be given Saif Abdel Fattah, the teacher of Islamic and philosophical Islamic in Cairo University. He studied in the democratic transfer and the relationship between the state and the people, building the state. He contributed to the political reform and the human rights in the Arab context. He took part in a lot of conferences and international conferences, rights and political conferences. The paper, Dr. Saif is going to give this paper, the identification of Muslim Brotherhood as a social movement. Underline social, largely underline this social. The second speaker, Dr. Issam Al-Bashir, the teacher of Fiqh Islamic, or the former Minister of Endowment, one of the leaders of Al-Haraka Al-Islamiyya. He is the founder of the modernism in Kuwait. In a critical period after 2001, he was among a number of strong men to give moderate views to counter on the mainstream Islam. We have also Hilmi Al-Ghazar, physician, politician, former parliament member in Egypt. He is still young. He was young and he is still young. Among the political leaders and syndicate leaders, he occupied a number of political positions and party positions in the 1970s. We have experience of 50 years in the general work. And on Zoom, we have online, we have Dr. Mohamed Al-Mukhtar Al-Shinqiti. He is a researcher in the Fiqh and Sharia studies and the teacher of Islamic studies in Hamad bin Khalifa University. He is talking, writing. He is extremely active on social media, and his books, Injustice and the morals, ethics of the political work, and settling the differences. He has papers in the Islamic fiqh and political Islamic fiqh. We start with Issam Al-Bashir in a paper to talk about the influence of the moderate Islamic on the nation and the general nation. You please observe the time. This dialogue is extremely important when we think ahead. We are going to build the trajectory of movements to understand what is taking place exactly, and thus we can know our movements in the future. I call on Dr. Issam Al-Bashir to start his paper on the moderate Muslim Brotherhood on the nation and Islamic societies. The floor is yours, sir. Please. I start with Alhamdulillah, and I send blessings upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all his companions and those who believed in him, and I say peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The word of modernism in Arabic language goes to three interpretations. First, modernism is justice. He said, who is the most just? Then the second is charity. When Allah said, we made you just nation, as just nation. The third interpretation, the praised balance between the two poles, between terrorism and the other pole. When we say Allah built the sky and set the balance, this is the balance of modernism. Don't defraud the balance, the scale. Don't transgress in the balance, and establish the balance, and don't make this scale lost. This is the balance between the two poles of losing and winning. Don't raise your voice, don't lower your voice, and hold a medium in performing your prayers. When they spend, they are not niggardly, neither extremely generous, and they hold a medium way between the two. So don't raise your voice, don't be low in establishing the performer. Hold a medium way between raising your voice and lowering your voice. So modernism goes to these interpretations: charity, justice, balance, praised balance between the two poles, extremes. If we want to identify for this modernism adopted by the Muslim Brotherhood, and they wanted to solidify it in the awareness and in the work, what is understood is to present Islam as a guide for humanity and time, related to reality, explained in the language of the current time, between the reason and the mind, open for the future and conservative in the goals and principles, advanced in the mechanisms, fixed in the sources, flexible in the branches, and partial, easy in fatwa, giving glad tidings, and open for all organizations without being thawed, and observing the peculiarity without being closed. Seeking wisdom from any place comes, working on enhancing the joint concept, heritage of humanity and civilization, related to the past and related to the present. This is the meaning of the modernism. And if we want to point out to the symptoms of this modernism and that influence in this word of the nation, we could say the Hassan al-Banna, the founder member, the martyr Hassan al-Banna, he established this in the understanding in which he explained the 20 articles of the usul. And this worked on identifying the symptoms of this modernism on the level of the belief, through the large meaning of the Sunnah and Jama'ah, fixed in the sources, and absorbing the new innovative things could be tolerated according to the Aqidah, despite the differences. Also, we have modernism in the Fiqh school between those who stopped when they said that the schools are extremist and are not changing, and they said we cannot bring better than what was left by the grandfathers, and those who wanted to come with innovative issues. So he established modernism in accepting these schools in general without being extremist or not intolerant to a school. And he considered the accumulated of the efforts of nation to build on what was built. Then you give your innovative thoughts and additional ideas. So a person, the Muslim who does not have enough, he could lead a leader, not imitate. Follow, not to imitate. To follow is to take with an evidence, with guidance. Then he referred to accept any guidance with a proof, evidence, when it was proved and it was sufficient. And they need to work, to study more, to be among those men of understanding and minds. Then the second equation in this modernism, after Aqidah, ideology and fiqh, in jurisprudence, in the schooling process, between that part, in that extreme part of the Sufis and those extremists of Salafiyah, then he liberated the schooling pillar in accepting the Sufis in core and in principle. He chose to express in the core and essence of Sufism. It was based on purifying the soul and elevating the soul without being extremist, which was mentioned by some of those who believe in the Sufi school. So he built also the ideology in terms of the in the idea of expiating or considering others disbelievers, takfir. It is related to some denying some verses of the Holy Quran, or it could be interpreted with things cannot be explained in language. This which was built by Shaheed Mata leader Hassan al-Banna, dismantled 5 trajectories in the Islamic modern Islam concept. The first one is the suicide school. The suicide school starting with expiating, considering others disbelievers, and ending with the bomb blasts and explosion, considering others the infidels, and ending with the explosion based on the Khawarij in the past. And the modernism started to dismantle this suicide schools through the 6 pillars. The first one, the wrong interpretation of jihad and fighting. The second, the misinterpretation of the ruling and the misinterpretation of ignorance or pre-Islamic age. Also the misinterpretation of allegiance. And the 5th misinterpreted thing is enjoining what is ma'ruf, monotheism, and forbidding from munkar, polytheism. And the 6th, in the relation with the others. So he dismantled those 6 ideas of the infidelity or considering others infidelity. I expressed this in the suicide ideology. This also, the modernism also dismantled the second trajectory of the modern Islamic ideology, which is against the suicide, being astonished. So when we see the new Western modern civilization, this astonishment, which has becoming like followers without distinguishing the beneficial of the civilization, we need to stop here, and we need to understand, because some can contradict the Sharia and Islam. And also, number 3 is the way of thinking in protection. When we speak about differences in aqidah or fiqh, jurisprudence, or behavior, or the reality, they consider it like a way of protection and allegiance, and also a way of differences. Conjecture could be certainty, and subsidies could be, or the subtitles could be titles. So he also worked on dismantling this. And the last, or the fourth way of the ideology, which was the taking from others way. So keeping, observing the experts or the texts of the old, as cannot be improved. So we need to move our challenges to the present without considering the future or the challenges of the present. He also, in modernism, he dismantled this way of thinking in referring to the accumulation between the efforts of the past and the present and the future. So the future could help the past. We cannot say we cannot improve the issue or show up the issue, but we need to say we cannot say the old men did not leave us anything to us to do, but we need to say how much the old left to us to work. So the suicide and astonishment principles and protection, and the protection, we have also the last fifth, the modernism current or school, which established these meanings through the influence of this modernism. This ideology of modernism gave a project for Renaissance to move the nation from the existence to being witness, from the existence to the present witnesses, and thus we could cut it short. The meanings of this project of Renaissance to present Islam as ideology that matches the innateness, the inborn nature, and the ability to build, and the mind inspired by wisdom, and science inspired by belief, and belief associated with work and labor to invitation, morals with body with soul, and legislation for the interests of people, and the justice that is associated with being charitable and good to others, strength associated with righteousness, and the morals that make life better, art that is observing the principles, and the good that is beautiful. This modernism managed, in dismantling these concepts, managed to give the school of the relation with others. You know, when we think about the other, this term cannot be interpreted as an enmity or being enemies. We cannot mention people as foes or enemies, but when we describe devil, the person who are fighting could be your friend. The person could come to a ceasefire. The person who opposes you could be your friend or ally later. Only devil could be considered a foe. So he built it on seven pillars. The first pillar, belief in the origin of humanity. They come from one father and one mother. So humanity comes back to Allah, and the father is Adam. The second pillar, so all people have morality and dignity. The third, we need to build the human beings, not ignore them. This is number three. It's not a matter of brotherhood or brethren of faith. The highest level of brotherhood is brethren. When we speak about Ad, to their brotherhood, and Thamud, their brother Salihan, the brother of Ad, when he warned his people with the Kurd hills, Ali, the Imam, said, people are two kinds, either brother to you in Islam or parallel in creature. He is your human brother. The fourth pillar is the differences between humankind cannot be opposed, as it is the will of Allah. The fifth pillar, the differences, the fruit of differences, to know each other. When we speak about knowing each other, we need to know each other and giving charitable things and righteousness. Sixth pillar, argument which is in the better. Don't argue the people of the scripture except with which is better. If there are two ways, fair and more fairer, we need to observe the fairer, the more principled one. And the Holy Quran lastly said and talked about the righteousness and justice. The righteousness is the good morals, and justice is being good to others and charitable to others, and also enhanced the joint principles between ourselves and those who oppose us in Aqidah and religion. We need to come to the common denominators, whether human beings or cultural or civilization common denominators. Based on these seven pillars with the others, we found that Islamic institutions that belong to this modernism established these institutions and showed the relations and the relationship with the community where they live in the West, and they established references, jurisprudence references in those countries to establish the original relationship with that West country. For example, the European Central for IFTA and Research and the Jurisprudence Center in North America and Canada. These centers passed the transitional jurisprudence in dividing into war, Islam, and disbelief. They consider the whole world as one village of da'wah. So people who entered those countries, the Western countries, they came with a visa. This visa is a covenant and a treaty. This covenant and the treaty makes them, they need to observe the constitution and the system and the law of those countries. And Muslims in those countries, they have two belongings. The first one is the Aqidah, religion, and they have the belonging of citizenship. They have their due rights. So they need to observe the rights, the ways of worship and family in those societies. At the same time, they are doing their job as righteous and good citizens in those communities. So that was the modernism. They established the relationship in that community, and they established those communities, that jurisprudent building edifice, and established those Sharia references that those built themselves in that modernism in those areas. This modernism concept or school was extended by good scholars and men. They did not stop at the level of the founder. If we speak about Egypt, we found distinguished modern Al-Qaradawi, Muhammad Al-Ghazali. Those are scholars, great scholars, Muhammad Amara and Bahiya Al-Khuli. and also consultant طارق البشري, Fahmi Huedi, Dr. Salim Al-Awa, Ahmad Al-Assal, Dr. Ahmad Al-Assal in Iraq, Dr. Abdel Karim Zidane, Professor Mahmoud Sawaf in Algeria, Fodayli Al-Wartalani, Scholar Mahmoud Al-Nahnah, we in Lebanon, Sheikh Faisal Mawlawi, Fathi Yakan. They were scholars, distinguished scholars, thousands in those areas when we speak about the Islamic world in different parts of those schools of modernism who established these principles. I've explained this ideology when we speak about this, the expiation or takfir, considering others infidels. He explained the approach of extremism. When we address extremism, it's not a matter of security. The security approach that ended in Guantanamo detention center deteriorated the situation. Modernism, they made the ideological dialogue as a bridge, as we were following Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali when he sent Ibn Abbas to discuss the Khawarij and know the principles and what pushed them to carry weapons and fight the ruler, Islamic ruler at that time, and he brought the argument in that dialogue. So that ideology, modern ideology, was based on dialogue to dismantle the 6 principles of extremism adopted by a lot of extremist groups. When we speak about right interpretation of jihad and fighting, there are some points to be discussed. Each fighting in the cause of Allah is considered jihad, and not every jihad is considered jihad. And there are some conditions for jihad to defend so fight in the cause of Allah, those who fight you, and don't exceed your limits, don't transgress. But jihad is larger, and those could be doing jihad in words. And the first was in the Holy Quran, endeavor with them with utmost endeavor in words and eloquence, not in swords. Then they corrected the concept or governance. So the rule belongs to Allah, does not alienate the working hard in terms of the and it is known in the Holy Quran when we speak about the human beings and the authentic hadith. And those scholars, in investigating from the texts of Sharia, they could study, because some judgments could be based on clear ideas, others built on conjecture. Some of them could be misinterpreted. As Prophet Muhammad said, what was silenced? It was something like forgiveness. So accept this forgiveness from Allah. This is a field to follow up. And thus, and when we speak about the allegiance and being innocent, being allegiant and innocent, you can build a close relationship with non-Muslims. So what is this close relationship based on faith? Believers have close relationships. For example, a person who marries non-Muslim is based on intimacy and mercy. This is the correction of the wrong, the allegiance and innocence. And in this context, we could see what Imam Ali, when he gave Malik ibn al-Ashqar on Egypt. You know, Egypt included Muslims, Copts. He said, Malik, remember that I sent you to a country. States were built with injustice. So people will look at you in the same way you looked to the rulers. So let the best thing for you is the righteous deeds. Let your heart feel with love to nation, being courteous to them. I told you, he said to him, there are non-Muslims. You need to take care of them and be sympathetic with them. Don't be on them like lion eating the food. There are two kinds, either the Muslim brothers or parallel in creature. They could make mistakes, and they could do a lot of sins. So give them and forgive them, overlook and forgive as you want Allah to forgive you, as you are the ruler, and Allah is above all. So this is the righteous deeds. This is the righteous understanding in the clearance and allegiance and the governance and the pre-Islamic age, as some considered. It could be considering the society infidels and the Jahiliyyah, which the modernism considered. There are two kinds of pre-Islamic, the belief and work. Muslims could do this. Those who are Muslims, some Muslims could be ignorant, have some ignorant traits, but they are not ignorant. But the whole society is not ignorant or be like the pre-Islamic ignorance of this belief. This is modernism. This modernism has expanded on nations, ages, institutions, courses that established this way for against extremism and against and losing the pure Islam from the other. And I conclude in this short story. In this story, in Sudan we had trace of this modernism. Some they were called Dimber or Dimber cell. They were fighting police, killed a policeman, and the policeman killed a person from them. Then they were detained and they were brought to Al-Huda prison in the capital. I was the head of the Islamic Fiqh Center. I requested from Al-Bashir to have a dialogue with them, and he allowed me to talk to them. I visited them in prison, and I wanted to talk with them. Then they agreed. Then I spoke to the representative of the security services and the Ministry of Justice and Interior. We don't want to dialogue prisoners. The prisoners need to move in dialogue to our place of Al-Fiqh Council. So we started in the first phase to build confidence between them and those members of the generation. It was a trace of the modernism in which we believed in solidifying it. We started in building confidence, and we said to them, you could think that we are not proper to establish the prayer, and you consider us like rulers or people in power, and we cannot be imams. But we don't have doubts about you. So go and be the imam in this prayer. It was a turning point of building confidence. Then we worked together. Then we opened the dialogue that lasted for 5 months. In all cases, open dialogue without limits. Only that we were very down to earth in the dialogue. Later, it was clear that they were wrongdoers. Then we started to merge them. Those who were fired from school, they were brought back to the universities. Those who were fired from their jobs, those who wanted to get married, we helped them, and so on. And so they became members who are active in the society, and they have their role. Then we established and solid and documented the experience, and members and ambassadors of European and the ambassadors of some European countries and the rapporteurs of the humanitarian issue and the charge d'affaires of in US, they attended our course. We told them you resorted to Guantanamo Center to correct the understandings, but we took a different way, which is the Quran way to conduct the dialogue, to make these young men people who are working to serve the nation and Islam and country. We translated what was discussed between us in English and some other languages, and they wanted a film to be produced on this issue. This is the trace, a part of the trace of this school of the good way of conducting dialogue and addressing or uprooting the extremism, which is part of it political, the second based on corruption and terrorism, others based on civilization, socialism, economic, social, ideological affairs. They are different affairs, but we wanted to refer to the dialogue adopted by Sahaba in the past. We wanted to solidify the experience and modernism given by the founder and adopted by the distinguished leaders and those who believe in this lodge, with those who are not members in the Muslim Brotherhood. They solidify. This is the dominating current in the Islamic blessed nation. I stop here, and Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam Muhammad.
We would like to thank the Dr. Issam Bashir. And to be honest with you, what he mentioned should be distributed on written paper, and should be publishing, or there is like a platform for broadcasting this form. And also we can have like a language of French and English, because he concise so many difficult things that someone could speak with in this gathering, imagination and thoughts and in an intellectual way. And as he mentioned, Dr. Issam, and the issue of our brothers in Sudan. So one day in the house of the professors in Kuwait, Sheikh Salim, God bless him, gathered us with the Yusuf Al-Qaradawi, God bless him, and another group of scholars, and the Sheikh Allama Al-Qaradawi. This short story is about 30 seconds, and one day the prince contacted him. He was the crown prince of Abdullah, and also Sheikh Al-Qaradawi, God bless him. He told him, Sheikh Yusuf, we need you to fix this wooden mind. And at the same time, there was Dr. Issam. He was in establishing the center. Yes, I was with him in this journey, and I told me that they try always asking and the help of the Muslim Brotherhoods, and there was a great time that's against them, and they said who is against them and who has changed Islam and who has do this and who has done that. And now we are in the second part. We would like to thank Sheikh Scholar Dr. Issam, was different, only 10 minutes, but we'd like to thank him. We have now, yes, until Dr. Mukhtar Al-Shinqiti be ready, we have Dr. Helmi Al-Jazzar, and as I mentioned that he is a doctor and politician and a former member in the Egyptian parliament. of the also member in the Islamic movement. If you let me, speak, I will speak a lot. So I will just follow up the agenda. And he was a leader in the last century and has so many elite activities of the public freedoms, human rights, and the Arab and the Egyptian context. Dr. Helmi will talk about the political experience and the social experience for the Muslim Brotherhoods in Egypt. I would like to remind you that the time, it's 15 to 20 minutes for each speaker, and there are some exceptions we can take into consideration. Go ahead, the floor is yours, Doctor. In the name of God, and thanks to God and may peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad and his followers and companions, and great regards of the great Islam. And I would like to thank Dr. Hamza, the head of the sessions, and I thank you all for this great presence, and I hope that my discussion will be focused, and maybe I'll take the time in a precise way, and please don't hesitate to stop me if you would like. And my discussion after Dr. Issam Al-Bashir maybe can be difficult, but I will do my best to change. The form of the speech of Dr. Issam was more scientific, and also I will give you some other easy hadith, easy speech with the full of something that call and talk to the mind and soul, and other other funny things could also a speech with the soul, and also the experience of our Muslim Brotherhood, politically and intellectually, and also one of them is the scholars. The Islamic Brotherhood's movements established to respond to the historical reality in 1924, and also the establishments of the Islamic life. They were supposed to be called good deeds people, and Hassan al-Banna, he has established that in 1928, and this was more objective and some social needs at that time, and the reality of the Islamic reality in the Islamic world, and we needed that to discover the society and to deal with the society and all these concepts mentioned by Dr. Issam, which is the moderate case, and the historically and is socially also. And the scholar Al-Banna, when he established Muslim Brotherhood, established also many pillars and criteria. And Dr. Issam talked about the pillars and also the usul of the essentials of this ideology of Muslim Brotherhood's movements, and we call it as the suppressed work section, and I meant with the labor or work, we start with the 7 shows or sitcoms. We start with the family, and also we guide the society and liberate the country, and also reform the state and the government, and also regain the establishment of Islam, and also the objective of the Professor Al-Banna and this wide range Islamic action, and not only reality inside Egypt, but inside the Islamic world in general. But this Egyptian reality, Egyptian was under the invasion of the British, and there was so many corruptions and all these issues. Some of them is continued, but it's been so much until today. It's been expanded since that time. I think we still have it even until today in different way that we had in the same thing in the past since the British invasion. And also, there was other intellectuals and thoughts and ideas, and also maybe I took some smile and happiness from the fifth conference, what been mentioned by the Professor Al-Banna. The ideology of Muslim Brotherhoods is not only like the reforms, that they have three things, which is the calling and these politicians and like the politic and the society. And Professor Al-Banna said this is the call. He said Salafis and Sufis and Sunni, and this is the descriptions of that. And it's it's a political body, and he said it's a scientific culture and society and sport clubs, and this is also the work inside the society. And the movement and the call of Muslim Brotherhood movement, it's a social work and also political work and many other things. And these bases that established by Al-Banna, it's also, as Dr. Issam told us, how the resilience was the movement, resilience, had too many things or two incidents or two positions, or like the first position is or situation is the humanity, and also by Mahdi Al-Akif and Mr. Ibrahim Al-Munir, God bless him. But the first position is by the Al-Insani, how they can improve the mental image after the period of time of Nasriya in the Egyptian society. So did some kind of developments in his speech, and also I remember had a phone call, and she called us Dia Said and told her that I would like to come and have some tea with you. And they said, are you going to meet the journalist Said? I said, I know what I'm saying. And when Dr. Al-Amaliyat Al-Mizani, he was in front of President As-Sadat and told him, I hope give you a long term age, and he said that I said, what's what I meant, and because I am the time of Sadat to have a freedom in the Da'wah action. And so that's this Al-Misani, Scholar Al-Misani said, and also in the party of Al-Wafd during the elections, and the second position of into the lawyer syndicates, and before the initiatives that it was at that time when he said the freedom of the governing, the authority, and also the international forum in the related to the issue of Egyptian constitutions and Mahdi Akif, and it was some kind of resilience. And Mr. Ibrahim in 2022, when he said that many people, they were disagree with him, some others agreed with him and said that we are not going to continue with this authority that could resolve some society conflicts, and said we are also not to give up to reach the governance and the authority. And I meant that this kind of word has some resilience, and that demanded into the political dawah and call. The political experience started very early, and Dr. Hassan Al-Banna was nominated at that time in the member of representatives, and also in the government. And some people, they were against him to get Hassan al-Banna nominated to be a member of parliament. And he is like a man of society and politics, and he was discussed with the Mohamed Basha. He was the president of the government, and at that time he said, I respect the government and I give the call and dawah, it's a freedom. And the head of the government gave a promise and alleged that he is not going to bother the Al-Ikhwan, Muslim Brotherhood, Brotherhoods, and also they said we care about also the Islamic celebrations, and Dr. Hassan al-Banna transformed that issue into a call and to the movement or action of society. Ahmed Maher Basha at that time in 1944 in the same level of Mustafa and Nahat, and maybe that didn't have any negotiations, and the occupier of the British at that time also they had some brother, but there wasn't any negotiation with the British, and nobody succeeded at that time, and this thing that continued for the elections in the Egyptian Authority. And also the Nasriya era, it was something happened that they were disagreed against that who is going to represent Muslim Brotherhood in the government, but it's been exceeded that because it wasn't a good experience, only with lessons. And what happened, it was so much development happened, and the starting of the mainstream, Islamic mainstream, and the first who entered the parliament in 67, and Dr. Adel Isa, and also Dr. Osam mentioned that, Dr. Adel Isa from Alexandria, and Dr. Abbas Al-Qaddari, he's with us from Giza and Alexandria. There are only two people in the council, but they are the one, they led some like oppositions and some other non-Muslims, and Dr. Muntazir Nassar, Sadat at that time, they dismantled the parliament, and there was the elections of 79. Only two people, they actually followed up with that, and Salah Abu Ismail and Sheikh Hassan, and those, that Hassan al-Jamal from Muslim Brotherhoods. But Hassan al-Banna said that they didn't declare that he was nominated to the parliament. That was some kind of resilience and developments, and also the Wafd party and the Muslim Brotherhood party, and Dr. Omar Al-Mistikhani, he suffered inside the group that he said, how can we join the Al-Wafd party? And it was so important that why we entered the elections and give also I didn't want to enter into the opposition. I need the opposition so we can help the parliament action, and also this concept is new in the oppositions, that even like if the government was good, so this happened, and the parliament entered, and they had about 59 members, some from the Wafd party, some of them from Muslim Brotherhood party or movements, and something that will benefit you. In 87, there was two another parties with some coalitions or alliances, and also Al-Labour Party and Al-Ahrar Party. Al-Amal Party in 84, he got about 7%, and when they got the party, they got about 17% with the other party, and the party of Al-Wafd went down to 10%. I'm not going to saying that how the Muslim Brotherhoods, they had some 10% from the votes if we did some kind of comparisons. This political action, and why we talk about this, and they say that who they are accusing Muslim Brotherhoods in terrorism. Look at their history in the society. The reality will be there, will be more benefit to everyone. And after that, in the 90s, there was boycotting of the elections. 95, forged to Ali Fath al-Bab, and we always say one only entered this, opened the door, which is Ali Fath al-Bab. And the year of 2005, after the 2000, there was some the group of 17th, and who is the head of the parliament, Dr. Mohamed Morsi, God bless him. And in 2005, the great jump at that time, a quantum, and it's about from the 160, only 80% of them won. It's about 55%, and 20% of the parliament. So this is actually political, like a clear political engagement. And this was so important. And Dr. Al-Baradei, when he came to Egypt, and he established an organizations of change, and one of them was the Muslim Brotherhood. And you remember the electronic platform that gathered 1 million signature of issue of elections, and also hindering some other issues in the constitutions connected to the presidency. And I myself also, I lived that time, that the million people that signed, about 750,000 to 800,000 people. This political participation to have some movement at that time. So that's me. The establishment was Kifaya, one of them, and 6th of April, and also we have the other, like 25th of January in 2011. The Brotherhood agreed with other politicians, and also at that time was Dr. Bataki. Hopefully, I hope, ask God to help him. And from this 26, there was a declaration. They said that in a clear way, they mentioned that the movement of the Egyptian people started from 25th of the January. It was peaceful, it was more modern and civilized, and indicating, and this should continue on this approach to fight or combating the corruptions. That's the 26th of January. And also the Tawf and great flood of the Muslim Brotherhoods, and you know all these details. And after the revolution, when the Muslim Brotherhoods established the Party of Freedom and Justice, one of them, there was 1,000 ladies and 100 Copti, Christian Coptis, and also this party was established by the head of Dr. Muhammad Ali, God bless him, and 2 parliaments. And the also Copti Rafiq Hadib. And from the beginning, it was so clear that this party was open to all the Egyptians, and anyone would like to join and to have, join the program of the party, because this, would take too long. But this party called to what it's called to the democracy. Democracy was essential. Also, the Al-Wafd party also pledged that, and the Al-Wafd party was in the different list, and some other parties, they withdraw. And at the end, how many parties? Only 11 parties in total. The Al-Karama, Al-Adala, Al-Amal, and they get some votes at that time, 10 million. 188,000 voice or vote, and this is in the life of the world of democracy, this number, and the first experience and first participation, they got this high level number at that time. And the Brotherhood entered in this elections, the engineers and the traders, and they participate in many activities. And there was, so activities and many syndicates and the projects that established and came from this participations was so good to the society. And if also the doctor syndicate was the first who actually joined this Islamic movement, and it has about 33 branches, departments. It has the hospital, big hospital, I have 5 in Al Giza, 4 in Ismailia, and 1 in Asyut. And this is the medical Islamic University. They had so many like departments everywhere, many like Egyptian governorates and cities. I was in the Giza at that time. And the Egyptians remember that, and so this is private hospitals that they give very good services with low prices. Also, they help the orphans and the marriage for youth and help the society and families to be more productive. And this dream that we lived for about 2 years transferred into like a nightmare after the military coup. That they destroyed everything and they pushed the Muslim Brotherhoods. They paid big price, like displaced, death, prisons, and detention, and all these things should be mentioned. So because the price that being paid, but it was a productive at that time, and it will be more productive in the future. The last point I would like to mention, which is the learned lessons from this political social movement, that we have to mention that we didn't submit this just to have our hat up or to lift our hat up, but all the brotherhood, they joined peacefully, away from violence, away from terrorism, and they paid this big price, but that supposed to understand the national participations has some kind of negligence, but even if we have more, like spend more like effort, it should be much better results. And also we have to be more realistic politically. And today that we say the armed forces, Egyptian armed forces, yes, this is like something important and democracy, but the political reality, it needs some kind of understanding the renewal of the internal speech inside the national Egyptian group, which is the end this renewable for the things for the Muslim Brotherhoods, for the lesson with the lesson learned, we can start a good movement, political movement, a social movement once again. And thanks, Dr. Hamza, and thank you all for your listening, and may peace be upon all of you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Helmi. There is some explanation. Dr. Helmi, thank you so much for this great information to, for this important thing that you explained. And there are many of them, they think that this is so difficult. And many of them that they think that this is so difficult to dismantle, because they think that if we remove the politicians, or it will be like, kind of combination. If we removed the parliament or from the syndicate, because the syndicates, they are the world and work, and if we left up the social, it will be a combination, because you have to understand the society as well. And to be honest with you, the Dr. Helmi said something very beautiful, and something that I paid attention to, the last word that we have to understand, which is got a good learned lesson from the past. And I think in this event, Dr. Helmi, so we can submit a paper that include everything and what's been mentioned into reading, and what happened, and also submit what the scholars done, like scholar Tilmisani, and Sheikh scholar Mehdi Akif, to reconsidering what should do in the shadow of the reading. This is the reality. And also the groups and the movements are not like, sacred in itself, but they take the sacred, or they got that sacredism as the Sunnah and Islam, and it's been agreed on. And at the end, I propose to manage the forum that take everything, a paper from Dr. Helmi to explain and define the last part, what he meant into writing. By the social action and syndicate action in 30 seconds, and during the earthquake, I had a holiday because I was married actually at that time, and someone, Professor Ashraf Abdul Ghaffar, contact me, a member of the public syndicate. He said, "Are you in Shubra? What is the situation there?" He said, "I came from the 4th floor onto the street. I'm on the street right now because of the earthquake." He said, "Do some research on the things that results because of the earthquake." I went with some friends, and we checked the schools, and there was some, we have a budget. You have a budget that buys some tents and also follow up with the government centers and medical clinics and see what they need. And we did that. We went there and we did everything. And then in the morning, after 2 days, and we actually established all the tents in some areas that got affected. There was a brother, his name is Hamid, from Damanhur, Shubra city, to the security of the state, and there was the liwa of the person who was responsible in the security department in Shubra. And also it took him so many floors, and they came down at the end. He told him, "Why you are doing tents? Why you are having tents on the street?" He said, "Because of the people got affected." He said, "Hamid, go open all these tents, because I will put you on top of these tents, and then you try to dismantle all these tents that you did in this area and that area, and leave the people alone. And don't do anything." This is what happened, and this is my witness in very small part that people have movement to save the society, and that people supposed to save the people themselves. And we have to understand this in the shadow of the management of the coexisting, or to understanding that Dr. Helmi mentioned with this kind of systems. Now we have our scholar, the political scholar, and the scientific political science, and Dr. Abdel Fattah. He is the professor of the political science, and he's a researcher of the comparisons and the democratic transformation. He is an elite in the real political action, academic and general public political action. We were waiting for him on Al Jazeera TV. He was supporter and follower, and also he had a big experience. He's an elite, and we will talk, Dr. Saif, about defining the Muslim Brotherhoods as the social movements. And I told you to have ended this social issue. In the name of God, of Allah, and may peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad and his followers and companions in general. In the name of Allah, God, forgive us if we forget or we made a mistake. In reality, one of the main project is to stand on the concept and principles, and maybe this privilege that made me understand into the conceptual world, and also Issam Al-Bashir worked with him for 3 subjects in the concept world, into Ta'sil and Tansis. And here there is a concept comes. It's very important to discuss it before we continue with the issue of the classifications. So it's the mostly of this descriptions. It's ahead of the classifications, and from here, that the important issue that I would like to talk about, and in the and a very fast presentations related to the number of issues to remind you until I talk about the definitions and to define that, because all these entries is forming the moderate environment that's around what we have in the classifications or descriptions. The first entry is the political Islam. And the political Islam is it's a lie. It's been established, and they fabricated it, and then they attacked it. It's been fabricated and then been attacked. And Islam, it's one integrity, and also it has no different like an economical, social, or cultural, and many other aspects. It's all one, and this the Islamic system. It's from end to end. It's inclusive, and also this should not be actually that misunderstood, and they call it a political Islam or economic Islam, or even into the geographical distribution is the like the Turkish Islam or Asian or African Islam. The Islam is all one. Islam is all inclusive, but that its differences, or maybe that this impact is at so many and diverse. This is one. And the second issue is the religion and the international relations. This is because the religion and international relation, and I'm talking about the Western system to how to look at the religion. In the beginning, there was like based on the secularism base, and either like to marginalize it or to keep it away. And by that, there was so many times, but that after the emerging of some issues related to the religion, and also their connection into many like phenomena, international phenomena, I start with until that being recognized that the religion is one era into the international relations. But when they recognize it's been like being cheated, and because all this like cheating and scamming, it was like they saying that the religion in this frame it exists, but it exists until we actually have more accusation against that religion. And then we can be based to destroy the picture of that, or the image of Islam or the religion within many like continuous other issues, and maybe that important center, the center of Islam and Islamic studies, the world and Islamic studies that been led by our Professor Sami Al-Arian. He cared about the issue of Islamophobia really in a big way. That not that because considered just like only the definition, but it's many process that the Western countries following up with that, with a system, with the conflicts and the culmination, and that gate into the destroying and the accusation against the religion. The third entry is considering the description of Islam or Al-Ikhwan, Muslim Brotherhoods, and Muslim Brothers. It's not a political party, and here we will actually take into consideration what is the social movements to emphasize on that. That is the political party. It's dealing with the political system, and does that mean that there is the brotherhoods not have the right to establish a political party? No, that it means that the social movements wider than the political movement. And the political party is one of the results of this movement and the social movement. And also be able to do many organizations in a very important grid, that they do this network and they do their roles in different ways and different methods. The word and definitions of the organizations, also, I would like to tell you, there's not like, it's not an accusation. It's not a thing like that. First, the West countries, they said the most important thing in this ideology is that you have to organize it. So when they organize this ideology or this idea or this thought, it's been attacked. And here, the very important issue, and the issue of this organization, because the organization also, it's one of the results of these movements, in the frame of its movements, social movements, which have so many diverse, big, diverse, wide, multiple diversity. And the brotherhoods are not only like association as well, and it's not only like a charity committee, or maybe it's like a civil society organization. It's even like can contribute in this social description, and all these issues can be described, but it's impossible in any way to be in one of this type of things that we just mentioned. And so the fourth entry, the fourth gate, is the social concepts in the political ideology in the Western side and the Arab world. That's supposed to the society that emerged from a wide range concept, which is al-ummah, or the nations. What is the relations, the ummah or nations, and the state, and the state relations with the authority, and the relations of the authority with the society? This is actually, this four things is important, that based on the inclusive vision, emphasizing the relations between the society and the states as equal society, and also the balance between the authority and the society. It's a good balance, but the authority to control the society, this is a very risky, dangerous way or issue. And also the society, it's possible to take the authority from the states and the organization. This is also risky. And from this point, that the important issue that's what they said in the political science and social science, that the society, it's the results of its surplus, and the states and the authority is the results of this issue. Therefore, this society is that the one who give the real value, that the society, when they are doing in a specified way the usul and the things that they based on, this will empowering to all this social surplus, that be empowering of this is movement and his establishments, and the social relations as well will be stronger. But the state came approximately to monitor the issue related to the system, and not having any chaos, can punish any issue that results to get to be out of the general public law. Therefore, we say that the society, it's important that work with the authority. And the states and the society, I would like to talk about a vision like very risky in this issue. The suppressive Arab states that established in our countries, I look at it like this. It's like there is like elimination vision of that, and also the equations of suppressions. they are eliminating many activities in the society, and it's also with the power of the states and also the ability with their controls and their homogeny. And then we will see that it's necessary each power, social power, with even the Muslim Brotherhood, it will be eliminated too, and also it will be like fought against. And then after that, subsequently, will come to the terrorism system and this classification and all these concepts. And we go back again to the crisis of concepts in our like the contemporary era. We know that the General Assembly, they met to a conference to determine the concept of the aggression. And they were failed in that because so many like superpowers and aggression powers, they did that. And this book is called The Personal Criminal Responsibility of the Authority, talking about chapters on the story of the concept of aggression. And this is an important issue. The issue of the terrorism concept is not away from the aggression concept. I'd like to tell you that all the people that demanding having conferences to define the terrorism and the aggression, but all these conferences is not going to be held. Why it's not going to be held? Because of the power owner. They are the one who need to build the concepts and trying to start all these type of criteria. This is the issue. This is the whole issue. And then after that, they will evaluate and assessing and describe each issue according to their interest. And maybe that can be diverse and can be changed. And from this point, so the issue related to the like terrorism and aggression concept is very important. When we see Israel that they're trying to do aggression, they said this is self-defense. And when the resistance trying to stand in front of and fight this aggression and be like resistance, because this enemy that attack the country, they call that terrorism. This is what now Chomsky condemned when he written his book that under the title of International Terrorism, to emphasize each road of this complex issue in the world of concepts and how it's been used. And from here, that Noam Chomsky described the United States that it's the first suppression country in this world. As well as the accusation of terrorism and the relations between the international suppression systems and the internal suppressive systems and the relation between them. This is a very important issue. Also, this accusation of this issue between the stick and the carrot.
There is a new Western way or a new sword against Muslim Brotherhood or Islam within the sword of the regimes and the West. If a person wants to approach the West, they need to say only we fight terrorism. If the West wants to put them in their choir, they tell them fight what we fight, the terrorism. Our terrorism. The identification will tell you, if the US commits a terrorist act, the others will be silent. Also, there is also a paper for Eliyahu Haddad. He is an Israeli from inside Israel. He wrote from Europe to the US Muslim Brotherhood has reached the Western policy. He is a teacher in the Al-Quds Institute for Foreign Affairs. So this does not only incite against Islam in this framework, does not incite against those who immigrated to the West, but he is saying that this word is supporting Hamas and supporting the Palestinian cause. And from here, we need to know this blade or this sword against terrorism between the regimes, subservient regimes, and the arrogant administrations or regimes. So there is a legal relationship. It is adultery relationship between producing international despotism, tyranny, and the internal despotism and dictatorship. Here, I need to mention some points in this word about issues related to the crisis of understandings that we have. In my title, not a paper, there is a title based on this, on my research I am planning and I've been writing. When you use the law as a fake rhetoric from social movement to the ready charge against the group, we have a crisis of understandings. It is not a security crisis. Not only a security crisis, we have the crisis of understandings. It starts when the language changes from descriptive tool to condemnation tool, and when the law becomes political rhetoric, not balance of justice. The question being now, if the conventional who can introduce the convention, for which criteria and target? Is the resistance when they do fighting is considered violence? This is the West. This is what the West says. But in the end, it is a duty on this nation to protect their sacred and holy places and countries. The Al-Haraka Al-Islamiyya is not a political statement or military or closed statement run in black room, in a dark room. It is an open space for activism and activists. Includes the modernist and the extremists. All of them are included. Extremists are found everywhere. So you need to have the impunity balance, not to be extremist from here or radical. The danger starts or originated when this space is cut to one description and in a ready charge. When the law changes from control into managing tool, we have learned about the law. You taught, our teachers talked to us about the international law. Law cannot work by impressions, cannot be built on fear, cannot be built on the political situation or condition. The classification of terrorism in this framework, if they are truthful, and I do not support, you need something, you need good, fair judiciary system after any extremist act. But when When these are cut to administrative political statement, then we are not observing the law, but we are re-identifying the issue. What is the most important tool used in the Ikhwanophobia and Islamophobia and all phobias? When media talks more than what they interpret. Media is not only reporting a story, but building a framework in this issue. When they repeat the term before explaining it, when they demonize before identification, when they mix between the notion and the ideology, they do not show light, but they mix papers together when we speak about justice. Based on this, the meaning is reintroduced. When we speak about social movement or speak about security risk, political question, security file, what do we lose if we generalize the charge? We lose that the accuracy of law and the integrity of justice and credibility of media and the body of the international law that protects the values and international conventions. We are not able to distinguish between the protests and the resistance and terrorism, between the difference and the threatening, between policy and the crime. And in this case, states do not fall when they are charged with terrorism. When they generalize terrorism, if those do not match the desires, they are considered terrorism. And then the law is considered as a rhetoric or cover, and media does not lose its role when it criticizes, but when it loses the role of asking, can we name these things by themselves or by our names? When the law is considered as rhetoric, then the charge with terrorism is considered a gun in the dictator regime and the states against the weak, vulnerable, those who do not have anything but to defend their homes and countries. I gave like a speech. I don't want to be a traditional speaker, but I based on the reading of some understandings and topics based on the social movement and describing the social movement. It is a collective identification, collective organized work. It is a valuable organization that aims to change. It is conscious awareness, joint, common objectives, identity. There are causes, affairs that affect the lives of those who adopt them. It is the usage of resources supported by formal and informal networks. They ensure the movement, and based on the social and based on this, I reiterate something or something extremely important when we say, when one of the scholars who wrote in this social movement, one of the scholars, Alain Touré, when he wrote about the self-actor and the ability to act and the ability to give a joint objective or goal. Alain Touré died in 23, before he passed away, before he died, he issued a book criticizing the West. He said, he named it the death of the West, the death of societies, communities. He said that the West lost the communities. They lost their values. He wrote it like a will or precept about the Western community, calling on them not to incriminate the community or the institutions or the movement, social movements at any place. He said the social movement, when it is matured, it forms global frameworks at this level, and it is a sign of maturity. Like the labor movement, what did you see in Khudr? They have become a political movement. It is a political movement. And then, when we speak about this social movement, the identification, it shows these meetings after the arguments, as we speak about the secularism in the West. Then they increase the movements. When we speak about the secular movements, let us continue our job. Let us. But they want this. They want a national state apart from the country. When we speak about the merging, they said what was taking place in Europe. There were some people in Europe. Aren't you afraid? He said that they could change your culture. In the West, he is referring. At the same time, they consider us, if we don't go, when we speak about a person who came through elections, through high levels in that place, we need to reiterate that they have double standards. The facts of arrogance and dictatorship between the interior and external terrorism, and what Alain Touré describing the capital communities, and the absence of the moral and the criteria and the cultural multiplicity. When we speak about this policy, it is an endless story. This is not. We need to be diverse. We cannot be one color. When they speak about the cultural multiplicity, they are covers or they are smoke bombs. When we speak about the social movement, it is against dictatorship and despotism in nature, against imperialism, colonialism, against any occupation force. And then when we address the community, and the religion makes us confronting the Muslim Brotherhood, as they are considered the power of the community against the rulers and the hegemony of the rulers. This has also been proved. When we speak about the incitement of Zionism, the main target, based on what they said and testimonies, is Hamas. And those who were identified were Hamas. Those, they want to uproot Hamas resources. and the like. Here, I show to you that this doesn't allow me to end my speech, but in saying, say some significant words. Where is the review of Muslim Brotherhood? There is something which is extremely important. Also, let me be honest in speaking. That the division of Muslim Brotherhood has encouraged those to create the Muslim Brotherhood in the way they want. The reform from within process has conditions to replace the social movement and empower the origins of this movement. The losing opportunities and the picture of the victim doesn't allow us to self-review ourselves in the right way. These social movements and the empowerment of it is something which is essential. The values of Muslim Brotherhood as a social movement says it needs to open to the society. Can Muslim Brotherhood help good ruling without associating it with the social movement? Each reform, if we say that it cannot pass through of our channel, then it will be a great crime or charge. We cannot monopolize the reform, and those who monopolize are cursed. Not benefiting from the youth who are the source of change in the future. They are the most important framework. When Muslim Brotherhood established a strategic mind for the movement in which they can manage themselves with the changes, and thus they can establish something, they can depend on it, and in the end I seek forgiveness from Allah. For me and for you. We thank Dr. Saif Abdel Fattah for this. Dr. Saif he talked in two parts. One was clear in concepts, the double standards. He talked about the double standards, putting policy instead of the law, etc. The second, we call those who are organizers in the center. We need, please add it to what was mentioned by Dr. Hilmi Ghazar, to what is needed to be done. Because if we don't understand what to do, all these words will be like chat. Dr. Saif, in this speech, he was brief and he crossed the T's and pointed the I's. He gave the recommendations what the Muslim Brotherhood need to do as a social movement to continue. If you stop at your faults, it could be cut from your income. It will be like in medicine, stagnation and clots. I'm not sure whether Dr. Shinqiti is with us or not. Is he here with us or not? We welcome Dr. Mohamed Al-Mukhtar Al-Shinqiti. We apologize to him as there is a technical issue took place and he has been waiting. He needed to talk in the beginning. We apologize to you, Doctor. Dr. Mukhtar Al-Shinqiti, researcher in the political jurisprudence and the Sharia and teacher of the Islamic studies in Hamad bin Khalifa. He is focusing on freedoms, justice, and the ethics of the political science and managing of differences in communities. He has books. He is extremely active on social media. And he is also distinguished talker. He issues a lot of arguments and gives strong arguments. I am admired indeed with him, because a lot of those who have understanding abstain from going into the sea of social media. And I think this is a big mistake, needs to be corrected or reviewed. Dr. Mukhtar will give us a paper on the following: the clashes of the civilization from one side. Who classify what? Who starts the clash? And what is the reaction? Doctor, the floor is yours. Dr. Mukhtar, please start. Yes, doctor. I start again in the name of Allah, and I send a blessing upon Prophet Muhammad. We thank the organizers. I am honored indeed with these distinguished scholars. I am not like them to talk about this issue, important issue. But I have a complaint. I am not okay with Trump. He talked about Muslim Brotherhood, but did not talk about the brothers of Muslim Brotherhood. So we are the supporters of brothers of Muslim Brotherhood. He did not reconsider. He does not see us as equals for his war. Anyway, we can address this issue from different angles, but let me focus on some points in a brief. I cannot be long because of my conditions. I think this is the last page of the pages we are witnessing of the American war of civilization against Islam, the war that Samuel Huntington talked at the end of the 1990s. Huntington says the opposite. It is not a clash of civilization. It is one-sided clash when we talk about the American civilization and the Islamic civilization. It is one-sided. It is against the Islamic entity. Huntington followed some strategies when he talked about clashes of civilization in all his books. He was committed. He mentioned about a lot of these strategies. He put Islam in the cage of charge, placing all Muslims as defendants who are defending to give the vulnerable, weak, defending arguments. This is against Muslim Brotherhood and other groups. We shouldn't be happy or allow others to put us in the corner. We don't want to be in the place or in the cage of the defendants. When the criminal places you in the defendants, he is doing more than one crime. No more than one crime. He is not hiding his crime, but he is replacing you as he is the criminal. He is placing you as the criminal. Huntington, the view was accusing Islam of bloodshed and aggression. When the U.S. started to allow the Islamic word, this war has been long. Started when the United States started to inherit Britain, the British Empire, but this aggression has increased with what is named of the international relations scholars. It has become clear with the one unipolar moment when the Soviet Union collapsed and the United States has become on the front line. They started to attack the Islamic. It was given an open hand against the Muslims. With this bloodshed, with the collapse of the Muslims, there was also a violation against the idea, putting the Muslims as defendants, accusing them of any filthy act or bad act. They dislocate or they discharge the charge from them and place it on the victim. Of course, Huntington talked about Muslim Brotherhood, not only Muslims in general, but he addressed the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt and Jordan and Hamas, as it is one of the manifestations of the Muslim Brotherhood. They talked about the charitable efforts and teachings. He admitted that Muslim Brotherhood movements, they are not violence, they are civilized movements and struggle movements, charitable, political, civilian, educational movements, and yet they are considered as a threat because they consider Islam as a threat, not because they have a problem and a crisis with Islam, not with violence. And also Hamas, he talked about Hamas that did not surrender to Israel as they were extremists against Islam and against any building or renaissance of the Islamic nation. What we are living nowadays, it is a new page of a complicated war, part of it purely religious, the other is strategic, and it has different dimensions. When we speak about the American war on Islam, is they want to diminish Islam or making it or divert or convert Islam into Christianity or Buddhism. They cut from Islam what is needed for the social affairs, leave it as a poor religion. Like victims, they accept what is needed, what they are given. This is the good Islam they want. They want to kill the spirit of Islam. They want to divert Muslims from what Allah sent on Prophet Muhammad. And it was mentioned in the Holy Quran telling the disbelievers, be careful, Prophet Muhammad, don't be diverted from what has been sent upon you, especially in the general life. Why? They want to match Islam according to their religious view. When we speak about the general view, when we speak about the dimension of the general view, Muslims do not accept the foreign political hegemony and the violation against them for the Islamic civilization. What annoys them the most in Islam is that part related to the general, because it is the place of shouldering and defending in terms of power and the influence and leadership and honor and glory. The strategic part of this new page of this attack is targeting the immunity system of the nation and the vanguard of those fighting. Those who fight imperialism, hegemony, arrogance, dictatorship, and all kinds of humiliation. Muslim Brotherhood, since establishment, it has been among the most important components of the immunity system. They were not successful partially, but in the offensive, but they were the most successful movements on the defensive. As we talk about the immunity system, this immunity system has prevented the foes from reaching and attacking. Despite all the injustice, they are moving on the surface. They want to they want to conduct an open heart for this nation, but the Muslim Brotherhood and other lively parties force them to be on the surface, and all what they have been doing is scratching on the surface, and they have not been able to penetrate into the heart of Islam and the heart of the Islamic civilization. So why do they hate the Muslim Brotherhood? Because this Muslim Brotherhood, or the most important part of the immunity system, is constituted by Muslim Brotherhood, and also the Muslim Brotherhood are the resisting military, political, and movements resistance against the aggression, like what is taking place in Palestine. The enemies, they want to keep Muslims in a state of dismemberment. They cannot say openly, we need to launch this war on Islam. George Bush the son, and it was reported, I was following the story up at that time, when he said, quote, please don't involve us in a war against them. When we enter a war against Muslims, we will lose. He said it clearly. And they know if they wage a war, an open war against Islam, they will lose. Because of this, they are fighting under any banner without being open. They target this place in installments. The US targets Shiites, then sometimes they are fighting the Sunnis. America becomes liberated, liberals, to fight the Sunni and the extremists. When we speak about fighting imperialism, they fight the nation in a group. They dismember the nation, but they dare not to say we wage a war against Muslims. And yet they are not fighting Muslim Brotherhood because they are Muslim Brotherhood. The Americans are not fighting Muslim Brotherhood because they are Brotherhood, but because they are Muslim. They do not fight Muslim Brotherhood, but because they are Muslims. Their war is larger than the Brotherhood or it is a war to target the sources of immunity and power in the Islamic body. This could move. Muslim Brotherhood could be today, another party could be tomorrow. This is the fixed issue in the war against Muslims. It is a comprehensive war against the resisting war in all its kinds. When we speak about Islam, whether this Islam Sunni or Shia, Salafist or backward, if it is resisting Islam to be present in the public affair, to be in the political strategic decision-making process, part in it, to decide the destiny of the nation, then it is an enemy. They are not interested whether they are Salafi, Shiite or Sunni. This is very important for those ignorant who are fighting on the two banks of the river. The extremist designation against Muslim Brotherhood came with the new war against Iran. So those Sunnis were not protected, and the Shiaism of the Iranians did not protect them as well. So this is the strategic part, is targeting the impunity, targeting the resistance, and increasing the dismemberment, and dividing it step by step, block by block. But the ultimate goal is a comprehensive one, to prevent the Muslim nation from being established, putting the lively bodies on the defensive to be apologizing in the same. There is also another, there is something related to geopolitics. The Muslim Brotherhood that was designated as terrorist by Trump, they are present, they are among 3 countries surround Israel. Why Egypt? Why Jordan? Why Lebanon? What is the common denominator between the border with Israel? They are bordering Israel. We could say clearly it is geopolitical designation to establish geopolitical targets to subdue the bordering countries and to subdue the strategic conditions surrounding this lawless entity, and we those who are here recognize what I'm saying. What is thought of in the Zionist mind can be imposed by power by the US. When they say it is time to designate, the Zionists say let us start, and the Americans and the Zionists draw the tune, and it is played by the US. This is something important. It is the war or the struggle in Palestine and the strategic conditions surrounding Palestine as well. By this, the founding entity of Israel draws, and it's implemented by the US. The war and the struggle is ongoing. It was not temporary fighting. When the time of when the Crusaders came, destroyed the Islamic landmarks. When they controlled Al-Quds, after they controlled Al-Quds, they tried to move to go to control Egypt for a long time. It was not temporary, because they know how much Al-Aqsa and Al-Quds are related to the east of the Mediterranean basin. When you speak about the Levant, Anatolia, and Iraq, and Egypt, this is the crescent of the east of the Mediterranean. Is the implementation of the new decision. Why the Brotherhood in Lebanon, Jordan, and Egypt? This designation was written in the names of Zionists because there are degrees related to the involvement of the Palestinian cause. Muslim Brotherhood in Lebanon, they are engaged militarily in resisting Israel. They were designated as if they belong to the Muslim Brotherhood, it is a charge in the new law of America, and the civilian support of Egyptian and Jordanian in defending the rights of the Palestinian people. They are struggling on the civilian level. They are designated in a different way. When we speak about the shadows of discrimination or discrimination of the 3 designation based on the Zionist view of the situation. Anyway, this designation has acknowledged the effectiveness of the group. It does not tell that it is an extremist, violent group, but it is effective one that makes the United States, with the aspirations of the US to wage a war with an Islamic civilian movement, peaceful movement, subjugated in its countries with a lot of prisoners from Muslim Brotherhood in their countries. The rulers of these areas already done what the Zionist American what they wanted because they knew the effectiveness of this group and the effective role of this nation in the nation. I don't think that all what has been done by the group is correct, but I am sure at the American and the Israeli level, Muslim Brotherhood is among the most component impunity system on the defensive. As long as this group is here, no one will be suppressed by the American boots. So this Islamic body will keep fighting, will be steadfast for its entity and targeting or storing the resources until a door will be open. In conclusion, lady, I wish I have never been long. The Americans are not fighting Muslim Brotherhood because they are brothers, because they are Brotherhood. They are Muslims because they are Muslims. But they are targeting the impunity system and the power components in our communities. They are targeting resistance movements and decision-making movements, and also the manufacturing of arms to ban the nation from building their arms, banning them from freedom, not to have a political decision, preventing them from the lively powers who constitute inspiration or hope for this nation. This is the context of what has been mentioned. There is also other issues are not clear, but they will appear in the future. The Americans are annoyed with the influence and the presence of Muslims inside the United States. As we talk about the political elites, Zionists, they are annoyed with the large number of Muslims in the U.S. and the presence and the participation in the public affairs. They are also annoyed with the presence of the Muslim Brotherhood inside the Islamic countries, as all Muslim Brotherhood and the brothers of the Muslim Brotherhood are attending the political American scene. Because the Zionists used to monopolize the American decision-making process, they can narrate their own narrative against Muslim and the Muslim nation without any challenger, without any person who says no. If the United States is the last fortress for the Zionists, then they started to recognize that the United States is no longer, it is not a fortified fortress. There are some partners inside it. Because of this, Trump said in the CAIR, the American Muslim Council, it is the most effective one in defending general rights and freedoms in the United States. It was not designated as terrorist because to designate it would be difficult legally, but he is aspiring to designate that council as a terrorist. They raise it as a blackmail way. As Dr. Saif, they will try to abuse with the understandings. Some Richard Jenkins from Tran, he described he said the differential paralysis. Some people do not want to identify terrorism because they prevent them from using this law stem to charge whomsoever in the way they want. And I'm talking about the American administration. Instead of identification of the terrorism, targeting civilians, violence, to achieve political gains, they don't want to identify it, to be loose, to allow whomsoever what they want and exit whom they want, they allow the free, strong members of this nation, and they discharge the criminals, Zionist killers. That the justice, they are called to justice. I could say, last, what to do. We shouldn't accept what our enemy wants. They want us to put us in the corner, to be vulnerable. We won't accept this. We want a strategy. We want to be on the offensive, to show the ugliness of the criminals and the contradiction and the lack of humanity, instead of defending ourselves and discharging ourselves. Because to be on the offensive, it's better than on the defensive. Criminals need to be condemned. Why do we allow them to be on the offensive? We need to move the battle to the criminals' battlefield. Those who are having the battle on their territory, they will lose. If you are defeated on your territory, you lose everything. If you win on your territory, then you pay the heavy price, because they suffer from the flames and the woes of the battle. We need to move our battle to the enemy's battlefield, showing the ugly face of the double standards of Zionism and the Americans and the accomplice, American accomplice of those who are fighting children and violating the nation, targeting the immunity system, targeting and banning them from their dignity, and from banning them from any political leadership, banning them from the military power, and thus they are going to be open prey, easy prey for the enemy. We need to discuss more. We need to be on the offensive. This is the best way to defend ourselves. Thank you very much indeed. Peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We thank Dr. Muhammad for his speech, and in fact, the first session is about to finish. We needed to have discussion. It will be postponed after prayer and lunch, based on the agenda, based on the organizers. But when he talked about what Dr. Shinqiti talked about, the war in Islam, the war on Palestine, and the third dimension, it is they are targeting any banner of Islam, they will find this war. Sometimes they need major power like the America, like the US to fight. Sometimes there are some Arab Zionists. They are Arabs, but they are Zionist at heart. They target As-Sunnah, Al-Azhar, moral virtue. This war is launched. I can smell it on the holy places of Islam in Saudi Arabia. I can also smell the plotting and conspiracy in what took place in Yemen, as what has been given to the White House and to the West was not given by the US, but was given by some Arab states who speak Arabic. They expressed themselves. They said clearly, we want to change the Gulf states and Saudi Arabia into a secular state. And when they were asked, and how this could happen between secular and the two holy places, as Saudi Arabia is the center, he said, we are going to move the two holy places to be a country and presided over by Amir of the two Haramain, but Saudi Arabia will be separated. So three, the Muslim Brotherhood, Saudi Arabia, later They are putting the targets on the one by one. What was mentioned by Doctor was interesting, to move from the defensive into the offensive. We are the right holders. We need to defend ourselves, and we need to be clear, vocal. We don't want to be in the place in we don't want to be on the defensive, like what Dr. Al-Shinqiti, when he described the killers of women and children. The U.S. American, as you know, is confronting a campaign against him because of the corruption and misconduct. We moved to pray. Dr. Shinqiti, he talked about clash of civilizations. I have something aside this. I'm not sure that America has civilization. I don't think America has civilization. Europe, you could agree or don't. You disagree with me. America doesn't have a civilization. This is something grave mistake or misinterpretation. The U.S. has never been a civilization. The session has come to an end. We thank Allah after we spent 2 hours and 15 minutes. More what was needed, but it was needed. It was like a hearty meal. We need to go to pray, and we ask forgiveness because of the on duty, as we were on duty with you. Then we are going to give you lunch as a reward. You could have lunch, or this depends on the organizers. Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Hamza. Peace be upon you. Peace be upon you.